Taurus, sit down because I need to tell you something, and it won't be easy to hear. People are going to start distancing themselves from you. It's already started, actually. You just haven't admitted to yourself what you're already seeing happen. That friend who always answered your messages, now it takes days. That co-worker who used to reach out to chat, gone with a trace. That family member who called every week, disappeared. And you're doing what Taurus does best, pretending everything's fine, that it's just a phase, that people are busy. But that's not it, and you know it. Deep down, where the truth that hurts too much to face head-on resides, you know exactly what's going on. People aren't busy. They're leaving. They're creating distance. They're letting you go. And the part that hurts the most isn't even the fact that they're leaving. It's that you don't understand why. You haven't changed. You're still the same person you've always been. So what the hell is happening? Stay with me, because what I'm about to reveal will shake everything you believe about loyalty, about friendship, about who you thought mattered in your life. And when you understand why this is happening, you'll have two choices: panic and try to hold everyone back, or take a deep breath and accept that this isn't the end of anything. It's the beginning of everything. But to get there, you need to endure the raw truth that's coming now. Are you ready to hear something that will hurt before it heals? Let me explain something about you, Taurus. You build bonds like you build fortresses, solid, heavy, permanent. When you let someone in, that person earns a lifelong place in your heart. You don't make disposable friendships. You don't have superficial relationships. For you, if the person is in, they stay, and you expect the same thing in return. Absolute loyalty, constant presence, eternal commitment. Anything less than that sounds like betrayal to you. And that's where the problem lies, because people change, Taurus. Not out of malice, not because you did something wrong, not because they stopped loving you. They change because that's what human beings do. They evolve, they grow, they discover new versions of themselves, and sometimes these new versions no longer fit in the space you shared before. And when that happens, when someone tries to leave or create distance or simply breathe away from you for a second, what do? You hold on, you squeeze, you don't let go. Because letting go, for you, feels like the end of the world. But what if I told you that what's happening now isn't about you being abandoned? What if it's about you finally learning to let go? Because, Taurus, you've been holding on to things that died a long time ago. Relationships that became habits. Friendships that became obligations. Connections that lost their meaning, but that you keep alive only because you don't know how to let go. And the universe, in its brutal wisdom, decided that if you won't let go, it will let go for you. And that's why people are leaving. Not because you aren't loved, but because you need to learn that true love doesn't hold on. It liberates. Now take a deep breath, because the next part is going to sting. The people who are drifting away now, most of them were never truly yours. I know it hurts. I know you invested years, energy, money, time, and heart in those connections. But emotional investment doesn't guarantee a return, Taurus. You can't buy permanence with loyalty. You can't force anyone to stay just because you would stay. And there are people who were in your life not because they chose you, but because you were convenient, because you were safe, because you offered stability. But now that you're changing, now that life is pulling you in a new direction, these people can no longer extract what they needed from you, and they'll leave. Simple as that. And you know what the craziest part of all this is? You'll miss the idea of them more than the actual people themselves. You'll miss the security of knowing they were there. You'll miss the predictability. You'll miss being able to count on something stable in a world that never stops changing. But if you're brutally honest with yourself, you'll realize that these people haven't fulfilled you for a long time. They no longer inspire you. They no longer make you laugh the way you need to laugh. They no longer understand you the way you need to be understood. You were together out of inertia, not real connection. How many conversations have you had in the last few months that were just empty noise, filling the uncomfortable silence? Look, There's a truth about drifting apart that nobody tells you. Sometimes people leave not because you did something wrong, but because you're finally doing something right. You're growing, you're expanding, you're becoming someone bigger than the small version of you they knew. And that's scary, because if you can change, if you can evolve, that means they can too. And a lot of people don't want that responsibility. A lot of people prefer to stay in their comfort zone and point the finger at anyone who dares to leave it. So when you start shining brighter, when you start speaking louder, when you start occupying the space that has always been rightfully yours, but that you made small so as not to bother anyone, people will back away. They will accuse you of having changed. They will say you are not the same anymore. And they are right. You are not. You shouldn't be, because you weren't born to be the frozen version of yourself that made everyone comfortable. You were born to be changeable, expansive, untamed. And if that means losing people in the process, then let them be lost. But would you really rather be loved for a lie or known for your truth? Now pay attention, because this is going to change everything for you. There are two types of separation happening in your life right now. The first type is what I just explained, people who need to leave because they don't have a place in the new version of your life. This separation is necessary. It's surgical, it's painful, but healing. It's the universe doing a deep cleansing of your relationships to make room for what really matters. But there's a second type of distancing, and this one you created. Because Taurus, you have a special talent for pushing away the right people when they get too close to your truth. When someone tries to really see you, you build a wall. When someone tries to question you, you turn to stone. When someone dares to disagree with you or challenge the way you see the world, you cut them off. You push them away. You freeze that person outside your defenses and then have the audacity to feel alone. And that's where things get interesting. Why are some of the people leaving now? They're not leaving of their own accord. They're being pushed by you. You just don't realize it because you do it so subtly, so passive-aggressively, that it seems like it was their decision. That cutting tone of voice when someone disagrees with you, that punishing silence when someone doesn't act the way you expected. That coldness you use as a weapon when you feel threatened. You think you're protecting yourself, but you're building a desert around yourself. So now you have a choice to make, Taurus. And it's not a small choice. It's not something you can put off or pretend you didn't read. This choice will define not only who stays and who leaves your life, but who you will be on the other side of this moment. You can resist. You can hold on tight to every person who tries to leave. You can call, text, beg, negotiate, play the victim, throw in their faces everything you've done for them. You can turn this process into a war to prove that you're right and that they're ungrateful. Or you can let go. You can accept that not everyone who enters your life is meant to stay forever. You can understand that the end of a cycle isn't failure. You can be grateful for the time you had together and let each person go their own way, without ties, without guilt, without drama. You can trust that the right people won't need convincing to stay, because they will choose you every day, not out of obligation, but out of genuine desire. Which of these two options sounds like freedom to you? Look, I know all of this sounds heavy. I know you opened this video thinking there would be a nice explanation for all of this. Some cosmic justification that would make you feel better. But the truth doesn't come to make you feel better. It comes to wake you up. And waking up hurts. Waking up means seeing things as they really are, not as you would like them to be. And how is it really? You've spent years building an identity based on being the reliable person, the rock, the safe haven, the one who's always there no matter what. And that's beautiful, Taurus. It's genuinely one of your greatest qualities. But at some point, you confused being reliable with being available to everyone all the time. You confused loyalty with letting people walk all over you. You confuse love with negating your own needs to meet those of others. And when you do that, when you become an extension of someone else's life instead of living your own, People don't respect you. They use you, not necessarily out of malice, but because you taught them to do it. You established that it's okay to treat you as an option while you treat everyone else as a priority. You showed that your boundaries are negotiable, that your time is infinite, that your patience has no limits. And now you're surprised that people got used to it. So, the distance you're feeling, part of it is about people leaving, but the bigger part is about you finally realizing you need to set boundaries, that you need to say no, that you need to put yourself first sometime without feeling guilty about it. And when you start doing that, when you finally start respecting yourself, the people who were used to the doormat version of you will run away and let them go. Because those who truly love you will celebrate you standing up for yourself, not punish you for it. Have you been apologizing for existing? Or have you been living as if your life were truly your own? There's something else that needs to be said here. You're afraid of loneliness, a deep, visceral, paralyzing fear of being alone. And that's why you hold on. That's why you tolerate it. That's why you accept crumbs and call it a feast. Because in your mind, any company is better than no company. But Taurus, listen to me carefully. Chosen solitude is freedom. Forced solitude is prison. And you've been living in a prison called fear of being abandoned for so long that you've forgotten what it's like to breathe alone. And here's the plot twist that will blow your mind. You won't be alone. Not really. Because when you let go of the wrong people, when you stop wasting energy holding on to those who don't want to stay, you'll create space. Emotional space, mental space, energetic space. And in that space, the right people will be able to enter, the people who truly see you, who choose you not for convenience, but for genuine connection, who stay not because you convince them, but because they can't imagine being anywhere else. But these people aren't going to show up while your life is full of people who shouldn't be there. They won't be able to find you amid so much useless noise. So, the distancing that's happening now, it's the universe making way. It's life preparing you. It's destiny making space for what really matters. But you need to cooperate. You need to stop fighting the process. You need to trust that on the other side of this pain, something much greater awaits you. Let me tell you what's going to happen in the coming days and weeks. You'll have moments where you'll want to chase after every person who left. You'll want to prove that you're still the same. You'll want to win them back, recover them, restore them. Resist that impulse. Because every time you chase after someone who left you behind, you betray yourself. You send a message to the universe that you don't trust the process, that you don't believe you deserve people who choose you without needing to be chased. You too will have moments of anger. You will feel angry at the people who left. You will want to blame, accuse, throw it in their faces. Let that anger exist, but don't act on it. Because anger is just fear in disguise. It's resentment wearing armor. And deep down, behind all that anger, there's just a human being scared of change, a heart tired of losing, a soul that only wants peace. So feel the anger, but don't let it control you. Feel the pain, but don't let it define who you are. Have you ever confused protection with attack in your life? And there will be other moments, quieter moments, where you will finally realize maybe this is necessary. Maybe you need this emptiness to be able to hear yourself again. Because you've spent so much time listening to other people's opinions, so much time shaping your life according to other people's expectations, that you've forgotten what your own voice is. You've forgotten what you really want. You've forgotten who you are when you're not performing for an audience. This space that's opening up, it's your stage. It's your moment to be the protagonist. It's life giving you back to yourself. And yes, it will be strange at first. It will be uncomfortable. You'll pick up your phone 1,000 times a day to text someone who's no longer responding. You'll have the urge to fill the silence with anything just to avoid feeling the emptiness. But if you can endure it, if you can withstand the initial discomfort, you'll discover something revolutionary. You are enough company for yourself. And when you discover this, when you understand that you can be self-sufficient, that you can fulfill yourself, that you can be happy without needing constant external validation, then you will be ready for the kind of relationship you always wanted but never had. Because then you won't accept crumbs. You won't settle for half-hearted love. You won't tolerate people who treat you as a backup plan. You will demand reciprocity. You will demand respect. You will demand love in the same intensity that you offer. But there's one thing you need to accept. Not everyone will be able to love you at that level. Most people operate at much lower emotional frequencies. They love with fear. They love conditionally. They love with restrictions. And when you start to truly love, to love deeply, to love without fear, you're going to scare a lot of people. It will seem too intense, too deep, too real. And those people will leave, and you'll let them. Because you finally understood that you don't fit into small spaces. So what do you do now? First, stop trying to understand the timing of everything. Stop questioning why now, why like this, why with these people. Accept that some things have no rational explanation. Accept that life operates in mysteries that your mind will not be able to decipher. Trust the process even without fully understanding it. Second, look at who stayed. Because in the midst of all this distance, there are people who didn't leave. People who keep calling you, who keep looking for you, who keep choosing you even when you're at your worst. These people, they are your treasure. They are your real tribe. And maybe you never gave them the value they deserve because you were too busy crying over those who left. See them. Be grateful for them. Invest in these connections like never before. Third, use this time alone to rediscover yourself. Resume hobbies you abandoned. Go back to dreams you shelved. Reconnect with parts of yourself that lay dormant because you were too busy being what others needed. Discover who you are as a Taurus when you don't have to be strong for anyone, when you don't have to be the safe haven, when you can simply be human, messy, imperfect, vulnerable. And fourth, prepare your heart. Because after this deep cleansing, after this necessary period of solitude, comes a new phase. New people come. New opportunities come. A new version of your life comes that you can't even imagine yet. And these new things will be so different from what you've known until now that you'll hardly believe it's possible. But they can only enter if you have space. And you only have space when you let go of what has already died. So Taurus, I know you opened this video with a heavy heart. I know you're feeling that tightness in your chest that comes when you realize things will never be the same again. But what if this is the best thing that could have happened? What if this ending is actually a beginning in disguise? What if the people leaving now were just taking up the space of the people who are truly yours? You don't have to pretend everything's okay. You don't have to be strong all the time. You can cry, you can feel angry, you can be confused. You can have days when you want to give up on everything and lock yourself in an emotional bunker for the rest of your life. Feel all of that. But after you feel it, get up, dust yourself off, and choose to trust. Trust that you're not being abandoned, you're being redirected, you're not losing people, you're getting yourself back. And in the end, Taurus, that's the only person you can never lose. You can lose friends, family, partners. You can lose jobs, houses, cities. But if you lose yourself in the process, if you betray who you are just to keep people around, you've lost everything. So if this separation is hurting so much, maybe it's because for the first time in your life, you're prioritizing yourself. And that's terrifying.